Alright, today I'm going to be continuing the series where I rank my favorite altcoins, where I go through a whole bunch of narratives in crypto, and within each narrative we will be sorting them by highest to lowest market cap, and rank each coin within its respective narrative via fundamentals such as tokenomics, utility, etc., and give them a star rating as you can see. Now I will preface, this is not a fully comprehensive video on any of these altcoins. If you want to invest your money in one of these coins, this should just be to give you some ideas, and then you need to go do your own research. None of this is financial advice, of course, but I do personally own all of these gems myself, and I do expect them to perform very well in the second wave of the bull market that is just now starting. So without further ado, today's video is going to be all about AI, artificial intelligence, and I think this is going to be the biggest narrative this cycle. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. My first pick is going to be Render. RNDR is the ticker. Many of you probably already know of this token. It has blown up. What they do is decentralized computing, right? Literally rendering, as the name infers, right? So you can render your animations on the blockchain using crowdsourced GPUs and that sort of thing. The reason they are so good, in my opinion, is they have the partnerships. And while I don't care too much about partnerships normally in crypto, they do have some big names like Apple under their belt. And there is a lot of real world utility going on with Render. A lot of companies are using them, so they have a solid foundation. I don't think this token is going to go anywhere in the coming years. This is not something that's going to just pump and dump and be gone for the next bull run. No, Render is a legitimate company with legitimate utility, and that is really what separates it from every other cryptocurrency, right? Most cryptos are not actually being used in the real world, whereas actually all of these AI plays have a lot of use case. But let's talk about these fundamental categories that we're going to be ranking, starting off with tokenomics. Looking at the market cap here, this is a high market cap coin, all the way up at $4.2 billion. So your upside potential is definitely not quite as good as some of your other plays on this list. I would say a 5x is pretty safe, right? That's kind of what I would guess we get from here on out in the bull run. Could it get over a $20 billion market cap? Yeah, it could. I mean, you could get like a $40-50 billion market cap. Really like a 10x is absolute max on this play. So that's just something to keep in mind, but it is inherently more safe, less volatile because of that. But let's look at that like circulating supply to total. You can see 388 million circulating versus 532 million total, 536 max. So it's pretty good when it comes to the dilution, right? There's not too much of the supply to be given out. 72% is already out there. Their dilution is going to be very similar to any other VC project, linearly unlocked on a vesting program. They did have a pre-sale, right? So this is not a fair launched coin, but it was also launched back in 2021. So there's actually been a lot of devaluing in the supply of those VCs. So it's really not too bad there. I'm just going to give it a solid, 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to the tokenomics there. Next up is utility. And as we were talking about before, this coin does have a lot of utility. There's a lot of real world use of this asset. Yet I will say the Render token itself is not that advanced, right? It's a layer 2 just on Ethereum. So it's just a smart contract. It's nothing too crazy. It's more about their company and their GPU rendering solutions. But just because so many people are using them, I'm going to go ahead and give them a 4 out of 5 stars when it comes to utility. Next up is novelty. How unique is this token? And it's certainly not one of a kind. We will be covering another coin on this list that actually is another rendering solution, decentralized computing solution that I actually think does a lot of things better and has, more novelty than this. So there are other projects that do pretty much exactly what they do, but obviously they're just the biggest. They just have the most partnerships. I'm just going to give them a 2 out of 5 stars when it comes to the novelty of the project. Next up is community, and Render has a massive community, right? Due to that market cap, due to being listed on Binance and Coinbase, you really can't be in crypto and not know about Render at this point. So yeah, their community is widespread, vast. All of the influencers know about Render. You really can't say anything too bad about the community. I'm going to give them a 5 out of 5 stars when it does come to the community. Next up is the team. I think they have a very solid team. They're continuing to develop, right? They're docs developers. I haven't researched them too much or looked at developer reports or anything like that, so take it all with a grain of salt. I'm just going to give them a 4 out of 5 when it does come to the team. So yeah, that's Render. Next up on our list, we have Penzer, Tau, right? Tau is the ticker. This is another decentralized computing play, but it has nothing to do with rendering. It has more to do with artificial intelligence directly, large language models, that sort of thing. So they're kind of competing with more of like an open AI, like ChatGPT's code base, that sort of thing. So Penzer, in my opinion, has the potential to be even bigger than Render because there is a lot more possibilities with this chain. But let's start off here with the tokenomics. As you can see here, the market cap is $2.5 billion. So another large market cap play, but still about half the size of Render. So it does have more upside potential. Instead of like a 5x, I could definitely see like a 10x from this point. Looking at their 24-hour volume, it is only 25 million compared to Render's, 300 million, but it's also not listed on as many exchanges. They did just recently get a Binance listing, so that's amazing because they did not pay for that listing. They were completely fair launch. They had no VCs, so the fact that they were able to get, on Binance is pretty cool, even before something like Caspa. Looking at their circulating versus total supply, they're identical. You do have a max supply though that is about 3 times the total, right? That's 6.7 million compared to 21 million. So there could be more unlocked in the future, but as of right now, the tokenomics are extremely solid. I'm gonna give them a 4 out of 5 when it does come to the tokenomics. Next up is utility, and like I said, this has the potential to be something similar to OpenAI, and as we know, OpenAI has really taken over the world by storm. So yeah, Tau has a ton of utility that is possible. Not a lot of it's being used in the real world, like Render, right? They don't have quite the partnerships and that sort of thing, but they do have a lot more utility when it actually comes to the crypto layer, right? It is a coin, not a token. While it is an EVM layer, you can swap it on Ethereum. It has a lot more fundamentals when it comes to the actual cryptographic side of things. So yeah, when it comes to utility, I'm going to have to give Tau a 5 out of 5 stars. They also have staking with some pretty good rewards. I know I have made some good money off staking all my Tau for the past year or so, and I do think that is a huge upside in like the utility categories that you can, stake your assets and earn yield on it. Next up is a novelty, and unlike Render, this is a one-of-a-kind play. I don't know of any other project that quite does what Tau is trying to accomplish here. So yeah, when it comes to novelty, this again is just 5 out of 5 stars. Next up is the community, and just like Render, due to that market cap, due to some of these exchange listings, it has an expansive community. People love Tau. Everyone knows about Tau. Again, it's getting a solid 5 out of 5 stars. And then finally is the team, and I do love the team. They're always on, the X Twitter spaces. They're all doxed and open about what they're doing on chain. They are very transparent and they are constantly developing. I'm going to have to give the team another solid 5 out of 5 stars. So as you can see at face value, Tau is just an amazing project. But I will say a lot of it is speculation. We don't know how much adoption is actually going to occur with Penzer here. So definitely is not a guarantee or anything like that. But I do think Tau could easily do, like a 10x from current price point even. Next up is going to be Delium. AGI is the ticker. What they do is large language models, large language agents. So is where Tau is like your OpenAI, this would be like just your ChatGPT. They have models where you can build chatbots and that sort of thing on top of their layers. Yeah, so they have a lot of good things that people are looking for when it comes to AI, right? A lot of this is being used widespread now. So to have a crypto that implements it is pretty cool, and I do think we could see some big gains out of this because of the market cap and that sort of thing. So let's jump into that. The tokenomics, we're sitting at $224 million market cap, so considerably smaller than the last plays we were talking about, but still not like a micro cap or anything like that. I think, we're still looking at like a 10x to, you could potentially get like a 30, maybe even like 40x out of this if it were to really take off and get those exchange listings. I do know Binance is a potential upcoming listing for this coin. So, you get that Binance listing and that could really boost the market cap. You can see the volume is all the way up at 17 million, like close to Tau. I don't actually think that's legitimate though, because you go to some of their exchanges like BitThumb. I don't know if anybody that uses BitThumb, but for some reason it has a $10 million 24-hour volume just on that one exchange. So yeah, I think you could probably take out 10 million from this number and just say it has like a $7 million 24-hour volume, which is still pretty good for that market cap. Looking at that circulating versus total supply, 750 million compared to 3 billion, so not the best in the world, but definitely not the worst either. Where we are in the bull market, does dilution really matter? Not really. It's more about VCs and that sort of thing. And do they have venture capitalists? Well, yeah, they do. It was on ICO drops, that sort of thing. And what's interesting is they actually first marketed as like a gaming / AI play. So they were more focused on like an AI metaverse, gaming. I think they had a like Battle Royale game that they were developing. I have no idea where that's gone because, you know, you go over to their website and it's 100% focused just on their agent models, you know, so artificial intelligence, that sort of thing. They don't really talk about gaming too much, so I don't know where that went. I don't know if that's still in development. I know when I originally bought this play, it was still being marketed as like a gaming slash crypto token, and it has done extremely well since I purchased it, right? It's been one of my best performers, and that's why I'm covering it today, because you always want to buy winners, and I do think this is going to be a winner this cycle, and it has had a nice pullback down like over 50% from the highs. But yeah, when it comes to tokenomics, can't really give them more than a 2 out of 5 stars. Now, utility, like I said, you know, large language models are being used everywhere. I do think they have some good utility. I don't know where that like gaming side of things went, so I'm not going to count that into, you know, any utility. Not that that would really count for much anyway. You know, I think they're going to have a problem with adoption because there are so many competitors and that sort of thing, but that's more novelty, so we'll get into that in just a second. I think the utility is solid. They do have a lot of fundamentals that are good. I'm going to give them a 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to utility. And then next up, that novelty, right? There are a lot of competitors, but there's not quite too many competitors in the crypto space, right? Most of your language models have nothing to do with crypto. So yeah, they are pretty novel when it does come to being a tokenized asset. They are just a smart contract for Ethereum though. So it's not like their chain is novel or anything like that, but I'll let them have 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to the novelty of the project. Next up is community, and they do have a pretty large community. I haven't stayed too up to date with the community and that sort of thing, but they're pretty good. Nothing really to scoff at there. I'm just going to give them a 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to the community. Next up is the team, and while they don't really have a team section on their website, I just looked to see if I could, you know, find that they don't really advertise their team. If you went to their ICO drops page, they do have a link to their LinkedIn in there, and you can find their docs, the team. They do have some full stack devs, some AGI agent developers. You know, again, I don't have developer reports from them, but it does seem like they're continuing to work on this project and they do have some smart minds behind them. So yeah, I'll go ahead and give the team another 3 out of 5 stars. So yeah, Delium there, you know, smaller market caps, does have more upside potential if they were to get that widespread adoption. You know, it's another one where you should just do your own research and figure out if you want to invest for yourself, because this is more of just like a surface level view edit, right? I haven't researched this coin in particular too much. I know they have changed around their project quite a bit, you know, from that like gaming to AI central focus. So yeah, very interesting project, and it has been a winner so far just based on price action. So I do think it will continue to do very, very well this bull market. Next up is ChainGPT. CGPT is the ticker. This is a project really trying to make an ecosystem for other AI layers right there on Ethereum. There's a lot of other tokens that build using ChainGPT. You know, they have a large ecosystem and that sort of thing. So I think that's where they excel. Only at like $100 million market cap, I do think this could perform considerably better than some of the other plays. They were really big back in the bear market. But yeah, let's talk about more of those tokenomics, right? Circulating supply versus total supply. It's 500 million versus 1 billion. So pretty average there. As well as they did have a VC just like most coins do. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll just give them like a 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to the tokenomics. Next up is novelty. How many other projects do what they do? And there are some, but I don't really think anything else has the like ecosystem of ChainGPT. They really do, you know, what they're trying to accomplish very well. You know, they're just a smart contract, that sort of thing, but they do have a good narrative behind them. They are pretty novel in that narrative. I'm going to go ahead and give them a 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to novelty. The community here is very widespread. They do have a really solid community considering the market cap. I do think it's a little bit better than like AGI's community. You know, I'll give them a solid 4 out of 5 stars when it comes to that. And then next up is the team. And again, they are docs. They're continuing to develop. Can't really say too much when it comes to the team. You know, I haven't researched them a ton, but I do know they're pretty good. Take it with a grain of salt, though. I'm going to give them a 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to the team. Yes, that's ChainGPT. I think this is another one where you're looking at like a 10 to 30x, you know, potentially up to like a 50x on this project. So I do think this is a pretty good one to stack. I think it is a safer pick in like the $100 million market cap range. Next up is going to be Octaspace. Octa is the ticker, and this might be my favorite project in the artificial intelligence space. I love what the team is doing. It's like a full comprehensive DePIN ecosystem for their own chain, and you gotta love the market cap sitting at just $50 million, which is up from like $25 million market cap just a couple weeks ago. So, it could pull back here, or you could be just catching it at the beginning of the parabola, and this runs to like $300 million market cap. But it will need those exchange listings to, do that. That's the one kind of downside to OCTA. They don't really care about exchange listings, that sort of thing. They don't really have the volume to demand those exchange listings without paying, but they do have some smaller exchanges and MEXC. So MEXC alone can pump tokens to billions of dollars market cap, which we've seen with something like Tau or Caspa. But let's dive in here to tokenomics. The circulating supply 28 million versus a total supply of 30 million and then a max of 48. That is very good. There is not a lot of dilution going on here, and the best part about them is they were 100% fair launch. So in my opinion, they have some outstanding tokenomics. I'm giving them a 5 out of 5 stars when it comes to this category. Next up is utility. And what they do is very similar to Render, decentralized computing, rendering as well, animations, that sort of thing. So they have the utility of Render as well as they do more deep-in use cases, such as virtual private networks and a whole bunch of other AI use cases that go along with this project. And they are, in fact, a layer 1 that has a lot of utility just on their crypto layer. They have their own ecosystem. You have like an OCTA DEX and that sort of thing. So there is a lot of utility to be happening here. I'm giving them a whole 5 out of 5 stars when it comes to the utility of the project. They are already getting adoption when it comes to their fundamentals. Next up is the novelty. How unique is this project? And again, because they're a layer 1, because they have more than just rendering, they have a fully encompassed like artificial intelligence framework that is on its own novel layer. I have to give them a 5 out of 5 stars when it comes to the novelty. Nothing does OCTA like OCTA. Next up is the community, and I do think they have a very solid community, especially considering that market cap. While the community is certainly not as big as something like Render or Tau or even ChainGPT, those who support this project really understand what they're buying. A lot of smart investors in OCTA. I'm going to give the community a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Next up is the team. This is another team that's fully doxed. They do interviews, that sort of thing. They're pretty active on, Twitter, X. They are always developing. What they do is they have the higher ups, CEO, COO, founders of the company that are doxed and talk with everyone, and they will hire their developers separately, but they obviously show their worth with the products they produced on the OCTA chain. And I do think, the team is very solid. The only reason they're not going to get the best rating ever is because the developers are not doxed. Not that that matters, right? As long as your higher ups are doxed, that's all that really matters. But because I don't know exactly who is developing these great products, I don't know. I'll give them a 3 out of 5 stars when it comes to the team, but I don't think that knocks this project too much whatsoever. So yeah, OCTA is my favorite pick in the AI space, and I do think if they were to get T1 exchange listings, you could see a market cap in the billions, and this is a 100x potential even from current price. So yeah, that wraps up this video on all these AI projects. If you have any questions about anything I talked about today, link is in the description down below for my Discord. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.